Hey, welcome friends. Hello, hello. Here we are. It is Chat with Matt. Today is the 7th of September here in the Cook Islands. Welcome. Another sort of stormy-ish sort of a day. I can't say the weather's been particularly good here the last 2 weeks. But there you go. It is what it is. So we're here for half an hour or so to talk about whatever you might like to talk about, chat and interact. With the intention not so much to tell you what to think or what is right and what is wrong, but to stimulate transformation in an empowered way, right? To help you all grow into a more expansive expression of your truer self. Truer self. It is, of course, a progression. There is no completion to this journey. Have a couple of questions written in ahead of time. Both of them, if I remember correctly, were good. Quote unquote, interesting to me anyway. That's what good is, interesting to me. So let's may as well just jump into it, eh? It was the, I will just pre-phrase this by saying it was the new moon about, I'm trying to do some quick maths, 18, 19 hours ago. So we're still very much in that new moon influence. So you may well still be feeling quite tired. You may be feeling a lot more of what you are letting go of, what is ending rather than what is beginning just yet, and that is entirely normal, and you are not failing, and you may also be feeling a little bit relieved on this side of the new moon compared to how you were a couple of days ago preceding the new moon. But anywho, that's just where we are right now. I did deliver a half hour or so. Hey, Sister Sharma. I did deliver a half hour or so pre-recorded new moon light language thing yesterday, and I just recorded it like an hour and a half before the new moon and uploaded it. So it is there. It's just a little bit further down this stream if you're watching here on Facebook. If you are watching on YouTube and you found this through my newsletter list, my email list, then you should have got an email about it. So, and if you can't find it, then reach out and I will I'll send you the link. Anywho, Sister Jen asked a great question. This is a question that a lot of people get hung up on. So she said, and I'll intend to read it all. I'm just hitting the see more button right now. No, it's not letting me see more. Oh, don't be a nuisance. Okay. Do a refresh on this page. Facebook's just got itself a little bit hung up. There I am live, so it is all working. Groups, Bright Light Being Group. There's the picture, me swimming with the turtle. See more. Awesome. And then there's an addendum, and I'll see more to that as well. And then Sister Jill wrote something also, and I'll see more there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read it before I answer it. That's the question. That's the intent. What do you think of the theory that we come into this lifetime to learn certain lessons in this lifetime? So different people have different lessons to learn this incarnation. What about soul contracts with each other? If they are not fulfilled in this lifetime, we unconsciously try in another lifetime and then with them unless we destroy the contract, ? Jen also wrote, I am also curious about our roles, quote unquote, i.e. teacher, healer, etc. To me it seems like there is a framework that is predetermined, and then there are spaces that we will with our own free will. For example, if it was meant for me to be a teacher, but I chose how that shows up, thoughts. Okay, I'm going to go back to the start, and I am going to go from there. What do you think about the theory that we come into this lifetime to learn certain lessons in this lifetime? I think that theory has some truth to it, but I think it is overly structured and rigid in most people's mind. Some people will poo-poo it right from the get-go because they don't like the idea, but we all, I believe, we come here with our soul and our higher self having ideas about what we could, rather than should, what we could experience in terms of helping us evolve as a soul and as an individuation of God Source Universe, e.g. a higher self. So I don't believe it's set in concrete though around we have a lesson to learn. I don't like the term lesson either, because a lesson seems like once it's learnt, it's learnt. And I don't see it that way at all. I don't see it like we learn a lesson, then we're tested on it, and then we've got the piece of paper hanging on our wall and we don't need to revisit it. This will tune into or dovetail into what Jill asked as well a bit later when I get there. So I do believe our soul has set up opportunities for us to explore certain topics. Explore certain topics is how I would describe it rather than learn certain lessons, right? Explore certain topics. So we find that in a particular lifetime or in a certain phase of a lifetime, we will come again and again into opportunities that help us deepen our understanding or our wisdom or our experience, which is one and the same really with understanding and wisdom, our experience of certain opportunities, certain lessons or certain genres of energetic exchange. I'm trying to think of a word that doesn't, or an understanding that is not so rigid around it, right? I think in general we're all moving into a space where we let go of a lot of rigidity. I know that was kind of what I was talking about with this new moon idea, that it's, and I can't actually remember anything I talked about, but I somehow believe that it was about letting go of being so rigid, right? And I know I put a post on Facebook that was a week or two ago around, you know, what rigidity are you hanging on to in the name of stability, or something like that. I've paraphrased it, of course. So we are all getting this opportunity to let go of these rigid concepts, and I believe what Jen has brought up here is a great rigid concept for us to all start letting go. This idea that we have to learn our lessons in order to be successful in this incarnation, I don't believe it's like that. I don't believe there is any success or failure in any particular lifetime. I think it is all an opportunity to grow and learn and explore and to express the truth of who we be in varying ways, right? In varying levels of intensity, right? Expressing the truth of who we be. So what about soul contracts with each other? If they're not fulfilled in this lifetime, we unconsciously try in another lifetime. I think it's always unconscious, because I don't think many people are don't have a great certainty around soul contracts. So for the conscious mind, right? The conscious mind doesn't have a lot of certainty around soul contracts. So yes, I do believe we are, and again, a contract seems so fucking contracted, right? So dense. I don't believe it's soul contracts. I don't believe contract is a great word, because it basically means contract, right? To shrink, to hold tight. I do believe we have agreements with various souls to explore certain topics, right? E.g., quote unquote, learn lessons. But to explore certain topics, we agree to do that with different souls. Many of these souls we've danced with before, right? So we've got an ongoing history with this particular soul, and we are still invested in coming to a level of conclusion or completion, you know, without getting too contracted around those sorts of terms, with that soul around that topic. So these soul contracts, I agree, are there, but they're not something that need to be overly completed so that the contract's no longer there. What's the problem with having the soul contract? Why would anyone think that we should, unless we destroy the contract? Why would we want to destroy a contract that our soul has made? Why we, the personality, this little fucking egoic personality, why do we think we should have the power to destroy a contract that our soul has made, an entity that is much more expansive than our personality? This, you know, I know a lot of healers do this work where they destroy soul contracts, but do we really think we understand it all to the level that we should be going around destroying soul contracts? I understand that potentially this idea of a soul contract is uncomfortable because the person that you may have a soul contract with is annoying you in some way, right? Or diminishing what you perceive your ability to be happy, healthy, or comfortable on the planet, right? So you think, well, for me to be happy, healthy, and comfortable, I need to destroy this soul contract, and therefore that's a good thing for me to do. First and foremost, I would encourage you not to try and destroy anything that your soul has done, And secondly, maybe just let go of the idea that this contract is so set in stone, so set in cement, and allow yourself to just be more open with the idea that your soul has or is invested in working with certain other souls. And that doesn't mean that we need to be the best of buddies, and doesn't mean that we need to have them in our life always and consistently throughout this lifetime. If we don't get to explore that topic with that soul this lifetime, then we will get other opportunities. And it's not so much of going into the Akasha and destroying such things and thinking, now I'm free. You're free when you no longer feel contracted by these agreements, right? The agreement can stay, the contract needs to be released. The contract is your contraction around the agreement. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I know it sounds like I'm playing with semantics, but really I'm playing with perceptions. And so the perception that it's a contract that is very stiff and rigid is where the problem lies, not in the fact that there's an agreement there. There's an agreement to dance with a certain topic. Now, generally the soul doesn't really put, in my opinion, doesn't put strict timelines on things, because time doesn't really exist. So whether it happens in this lifetime or some other lifetime, or whether it happens not at all, it's not going to torment your soul. Your soul's not... I'm getting wet now. It's freaking raining my computer. Let's move my computer a little bit further in. I tried to set myself up right on the edge of the veranda so I'd have a bit more natural light. But now it's actually misting rain on my technology. I don't mind for myself so much. It's more the technology that I'm trying to look after. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Now I'll move on to the third part of Jen's question, with also curious about the roles, quote unquote, i.e. teacher healer. To me it seems like there is a framework that predetermines. So again, I'm just going to play with semantics here a little. What did Tracy write? I think we have fears that our soul agreements are going to put us in places we don't want to be. I totally agree, Tracy. Our soul agreements do put us in places that we don't want to be. But the point is for our ego to get over that. I will read on. But what we desire is... Seymour, come on. But what we desire is inspired by our soul or source. Yes, exactly. So the point is to allow ourselves to go into places that we don't want to go to, that we don't want to feel, that we don't want to experience, because our personality resentment or resistance towards going there is what's holding out of us truly aligning with what we desire. Really, the thing is, our ego thinks that we should be able to go from where we are to what we desire in a straight line. But the point is, to get to what we desire, we quite often have to go to places that we don't want to go. We have to visit painful experiences in order to purify or to mature ourselves as a being here on the planet, to revisit things with certain souls, to clear up old energy. The idea that you can circumvent all of that is a little bit naive, in my opinion. Hello, sweetheart. The heron is right here. And there's the chook. So I've got the heron. Hello. There. And Mr. Rooster. Come for satsang. They were both listening. The heron was just anyway, I just pointed out of the corner of my eye, he was looking up at me. That's rather interesting. They're usually very shy, those grey herons. Anyway, someone can look up what heron animal totem means. I should after this, because we quite like, both Marie and I. Marie's teaching the yoga class just over there on the deck too. She's probably, she is still teaching in the misty rain. Hopefully her technology is staying dry enough. Anywho's, Christina wrote, sometimes we need pain in order to spark the remembering that we are divine. Exactly, we do. Pain is an incredibly good motivator. And I'm not saying that we need pain, but we shouldn't try to avoid pain so much. Shouldn't try and avoid pain. Avoiding pain creates a lot of problems. Trying to avoid pain creates a lot of problems. It basically keeps us stuck in this avoidance, non-acceptance, and inability to move forward. So anyways, I want to move on to what Sister Jen wrote about, curious about the roles that we play. Again, I don't think that these roles are handed down. For example, if it was meant for me to be a teacher, you're not meant to be anything. The truth is, you are, right? These roles let's change the word role to abilities, right? You have an ability. Jen has an ability as a teacher. I know this for a fact. I also know she has an ability as a healer. These aren't roles that you need to assume. These are abilities that you naturally have. Nothing can change that, right? Nothing can change that. So there's no meant to be a teacher. You are a teacher. You have the ability to teach. Therefore, you are a teacher. This is an inherent gift that you have based on your soul's history, right? The iterations that you've been through, the lifetimes that you've led. Oh, Christina wrote, prosperity, strength, and wisdom, Heron to Native Americans. Awesome. I love that. I love that I was just visited by prosperity, strength, and wisdom at this time. So, getting back to Jen and all of us, right? These roles are not something you have to assume, and you have to live up to what the should of the role. Oh, I'm a teacher, therefore I should. Oh, I'm meant to be a teacher, therefore I should. No, you have the ability to teach, therefore you can teach whatever, whenever, however, right? So we can't really deny that we are teachers. Those of us who are teachers, I don't like the term teacher because it has an implication that we deliver knowledge that people need to remember, right? That's what the teachers at school do, right? They teach you stuff that you need to remember for the test, right? I like to look at myself more as a sharer of wisdom rather than a teacher of information, right? I inspire, right? As a quote-unquote teacher, I inspire people to be their best version of self. And yeah, I do teach various practices that can help people find that for themselves, and I choose to use myself as an example to inspire others to reach towards that, to apply effort towards using those practices and achieving their own wisdom. So, but, right, for the sake of the argument, I'm a teacher. I don't need to look like a teacher to be a teacher. You don't need to look like a healer. You don't need to do what healers are supposed to do in order to bring healing to others on this planet. You have the ability to heal, therefore you are a healer. Now, how you choose to express your ability to heal is completely up to you, and there's no rules around that. There's no supposed to, there's no shoulds, there's no meant to, right? Christina wrote, I suppose rather like an avatar, a cloak that we wear in this physical lifetime. The title of teacher is a human role. We teach others as we all carry wisdom, although it may not be obvious in some. Exactly. Many of us have the ability to teach great wisdom, and yet we don't really assume the mantle or the role or the title or the label of teacher, right? It doesn't change the fact that you're a teacher. So basically the question was, I'm just curious, right? The roles teacher, predetermined. So to me, it seems like there is a framework that is predetermined and then there are spaces. So I don't believe there is a framework that's predetermined. I believe there is abilities that you naturally have, and then you get to choose how you express those abilities. And I would encourage you all to get out of the shoulds around delivering your natural abilities, but also be willing to honor the fact that you have these abilities without necessarily, see, many people won't claim the role of teacher, right, or won't claim their ability to teach others, or I'll use healer because it's even a better one. A lot of people won't claim or won't honor their ability to heal others because they don't, quote unquote, look like what a healer should look like. So they don't want the role of healer, and therefore they sort of diminish their ability to bring healing to the planet or to others on the planet or to nature or to whatever, right? So I'd encourage you guys to let go of that contraction around having to be the role based on how the role has been presented to you by various factions of society, and allow yourself to honor your true gifts without having to comply with the shoulds and the meant tos around that. We all have freedom, and there is no failure in how we choose to express our abilities to teach or to heal or to inspire or to balance, right, or to or to inspire others, as a way shower, or to be creative, right? Many of us don't hold the title of artists, and yet we are incredibly creative, right? And we create great things on this planet, although we don't fit into the criteria of artists, or we don't want to own the criteria of artists for whatever reason, because maybe it was made wrong when we were children. Maybe artists are no good bums that don't da-da-da-da-da-da. So therefore we diminish our ability to be creative because we don't want to own the role of artist, right? So as we let go of these roles and the shoulds around it and all the programming that we've received around these roles of teacher, healer, artist, etc., 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 then we can, and even just mother, there's a role around that. But, if you've given birth to a child, then you're a mother. And even if you haven't given birth to a child, you may carry the energy of mother, which is equally valid, right? And so you can own the role, if you like, or have the ability to mother others, right, to be compassionate and to others without necessarily needing to fully fulfill what society tells you a mother should be, which in generally has to be female and have born a child. Right? Many of us hold a lot of mother love energy, and we're not female, or we haven't given birth to someone or something. Or something, that's an interesting term, Matthew. Many of us have birthed many things. So Christina wrote, we are creation itself. Our greatest creation is ourselves, and that is a constant flowing and fluid creation. Exactly. We are completely, creation is is a process, not a completion. There's no completion to any creation. Creation flows, exactly. So, awesome questions from Jen, and thanks for adding in, Christina, and all others who are listening, watching, adding to this energy. So hopefully that helps to loosen up on these concepts. Jill wrote in, this is a little bit long, but I'll attempt to read most of it. When we think we've learned a lesson and then life jumps up and resurrects it, how to cope? Senseless, ... I don't know if it is senseless, but anyway, Tracy wrote, more of letting go of labels and definitions. Exactly. I think this is incredibly important. And as we move into yet a new cycle right now with the new moon, I think a lot of what I have been letting go of recently has been labels around what I should be doing in order to be the being that I'm being, right? That's been a big thing. Anyway, 11 to 12 years ago, I went through a tsunami of emotion with the deaths in rapid succession of 3 people incredibly close to me, mother, partner, and friend. Over the years since, I felt settled. Then in the last couple of months, it seems my need to experience grief has reoccurred, yes, albeit not with me as the primary mourner, but in supporting role. 3 weeks ago, I attended my elderly uncle's funeral and spent time with my cousins and their children. Then 2 days ago, my cousin had to inform me that her daughter had been killed in a car crash at the age of 28, only married 3 months, a beautiful soul who I was chatting with just a short time ago. Saturday had already had been heavy with me supporting a friend taking his 20-year-old cat for a final visit to the vet and watching him falling apart for his darling cat. I am struggling to make sense of my feelings, and I don't seem to be a lot of use to anyone else right now, and I have retreated emotionally. What to do? Could sure use some words of wisdom. Okay, I'm going to start at the end. What to do is to relax into acceptance, right? Relax into acceptance that your perception of being used to people right now, a lot of use to people, being valuable to people, is incorrect or narrow, right? Your perception of what being useful to others is a very narrow definition, and allow yourself right now to be in the experience of grief. It's not that you failed to learn the lesson last time. Grief is not a lesson, right? Losing people is not a lesson that we learn. It is an experience that we have. It is a valuable experience, but a very painful experience. The fact that you went through a tsunami 11 to 12 years ago and you've come to terms with it doesn't mean that you never get to experience grief again. And certainly in experiencing grief now doesn't mean that you failed to experience it properly before, right? These, coming back to what Jen said, these are not lessons that get ticked off and then never revisited. We are an ongoing and an expanding spiral of experience in this human form, and actually in all form. So revisiting experiences that felt like lessons before, albeit might feel testing, but we're not being tested to see if we remember how to deal with grief, or whether we can adequately not be consumed by the process of grief. Grief is a very consuming experience, emotion, and so it should be. It's not supposed to be anything different to than what it is, right? It's not that when you master grief that you no longer feel it, right? This is not the point. The point is to take each experience for the value that it brings you without judgments around yourself as to how well you're doing. The idea that we measure ourselves based on how well we can function in the world is, again, very unfortunate that we've been programmed with this idea that we should keep a stiff upper lip and keep showing up, right? And be able to function in the world. There is nothing non-functional about spending time in deep grief from a perspective of you as a being, as an energetic being. You being willing to be in the experience is very, very valid and very, very beneficial, not just to you, but to all sentient beings. So allow yourself to be an expression of grief when it is present. Allow yourself to enjoy, quote unquote, enjoy the experience of grief, right? As a soul feeling something, feeling the depths of something. Sister Christina wrote, grieving for me is a sign that I can and do love. So this is it, Jill. Don't be hard on yourself. How to cope is to relax into acceptance. You're in the experience of grief yet again, and that which you learned through your experiences last time can now be utilized, right? And basically what you learned is to accept grief is painful. It is painful. To your cousin who's lost her 28-year-old daughter, I believe. I can't remember if it was a daughter. I'm pretty sure it was a daughter. Daughter, yes. That's a very painful experience, and you can be there, present, to support her without needing to be useful, functional, right? Be there energetically holding light and love, as we are right now, to your cousin, right? Energetically supporting her is much more important and useful than you give it credit for. You allowing yourself to feel her grief with her is also valid, right? Choosing not to get too lost in sympathy, but at the same time choosing not to curtail or circumvent the experience that's available. So all of that is very valid, and hopefully this is all tied in together. I'm just looking at the time, coming towards the end of my half an hour here of chatting with Matt. We'll just quickly flick back through here to see if I let go of anything or missed anything. I don't think I missed anything on my screen. I apologise if you have written something in, any of you, and I haven't spoken to it, because I have found out that stuff see, I didn't even see this last comment from Jill. Jill wrote, good teachers often hold a mirror up for people to see answers for themselves. Exactly. And we can let go of that it's a teacher, right? We could just say people often hold up, right? Other souls often hold up a mirror for people to see the answers for themselves, right? You don't have to hold the mantle of teacher to play that role. We all do this in relationship for others. We hold up mirrors. This is the process of relating to one another. Is we move together through this experience of choosing to understand or becoming aware of who we be. This is God Source Universe individuating into different aspects of self, right? You, me, and others are different individuations of God Source Universe, simply holding up mirrors to each other so that God, the sum total of all of us, gets to experience itself. That is our role. That is our role as an individuation of God Source Universe, and it's not a sacrificial role at all. We learn learn, not as in learn a lesson, but we expand in wisdom through this process of interrelating with one another. Awesome, friends. Much love. I'm going to wrap it up right there before I get distracted into yet another tangent and keep this reasonably concise. Awesome questions. Hopefully the dialogue has served you. If you have any other questions or comments, please feel free to add them in under here or pop them on for next week as we come up to putting our thing up there. Awesome, Jill. I'm very happy to have helped. Much love. Bye for now, friends. Bye-bye.